welcome to a special Golf Digest Middle East preview. We've been waiting for what feels like an eternity for the first major of the year to come around, but the Masters is finally upon us and we cannot wait for the action to get started at the Augusta National Golf Club. Delighted to welcome Justin Parsons, the Director of Instruction at the Butch Harmon School of Golf, and myself and Justin are going to be running the rule across all the main contenders for a green jacket, picking out who we think may be right there come Sunday afternoon, and talking everything Masters as we build up to what surely will be an exciting week in Georgia. JP, when I look at the world's top six right now as things stand, it's very difficult for me to see the winner of the green jacket coming from outside of those top six players, but we can't rule out a plethora of guys behind them as well in the world rankings. And I suppose probably the first person that we should tackle is the man in Tiger's absence who has the most legendary record going into the Masters this week, and that's Phil Mickelson.
Well, I think Phil's had a notable swing instructor change. He's doing some things a little differently from what I can see with his takeaway. He's gone back to like a claw grip with the putter, and he's certainly run into some form this year. And you know, when you've watched him on television, he's looked as if he's been around the golf course left and right a little bit, but then he normally is anyway.
I want to look at a former Masters winner and a former runner-up just the year after that in two South Africans, Charl Schwartzel and Louis Oosthuizen.
I really like both of those guys. Louis has been a very consistent competitor over the last sort of 5 to 6, 7 years. You know, we've seen him play so well. Charl Schwartzel has had, as you say, the notable victory at Augusta National, kind of seemed to fall away a little bit. Swings it a little bit differently, you know, he gets a lot of lift, but he seems to have kind of got himself back to really where we would have expected him to be as one of the big contenders for major championships.
Let's look at guys inside the top 10 now. Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose and Dustin Johnson are all names that you can't ignore. Rose, a runner-up last year, tied with Phil Mickelson, 4 shots behind Jordan Spieth. Dustin Johnson, you know, a major winner in waiting. For me, I think he's been suspect mentally when it comes to closing out the biggest tournaments in the world golf, but you like his chances.
I like DJ's chances. You know, you brought a smile to my face when you said suspect mentally, because he does get up to some crazy things in the past, but I think we've moved on from that, and he's got a great game for it. You know, he shapes it the right way. He seems to have his putting boots on now this year, and certainly in his career he's been trending in the right direction. You know, best player without a major, you know, I would say at this point in time, I think Henrik's probably, if not one of the best player without a major championship. I think that he has, you know, every part of his artillery is going to suit Augusta. It's just about getting his mind right and being able to cope with some of the demands and some of the trickiness of the golf course. You know, I went there a couple of years ago, and you know, if you designed Augusta National today in 2016, people probably look at you and think you're a bit crazy, and there's lots and lots of little nuances and things that are going to happen through the week. And we've seen Henrik, you know, with his temperament, light it up from time to time. So, you know, if he can just stay where he needs to be, I think he's got a great shout.
Let's look at the top 6 now, because, you know, for me, you know, I look at those guys and it's really hard to pick a winner. You know, you could make a case for every single one of them, starting with Adam Scott at world number 6, you know, a guy that we thought would probably struggle with that new putter rule, the ban on anchoring, and the absolute opposite has happened with Adam. You know, he's come out and won 2 massive tournaments on the PGA Tour, including the WGC Cadillac Championship. You know, what a way to confound his critics for a start. And you know, someone who's underachieved over the course of his career now has the chance, I think, to go on and have a really good second stint as he, you know, approaches his mid-30s.
Yeah, I mean, you put any sort of a decent putting game in Adam Scott's hands, and he's going to be able to contend pretty much in any tournament that he plays in. Testament to his fighting spirit and his champion spirit. He kind of stumbled a bit in the Honda Classic, but still came through to win.
Absolutely. Rickie Fowler, a guy who in Abu Dhabi, we were keen to sort of push into that bracket of players that were now the golf's big 4. You know, he fits the mold. You know, he's everything that the new era of golf stars is all about. You know, he's very savvy, social media, you know, got a great image. You know, Rickie is someone you want to pull for, isn't he? But he hasn't got that major yet, and he was keen to point out, guys, you know, I'm not in that club yet until I've won a major championship. You know, is the Masters going to be the time that he breaks through?
You know, he will be extremely well prepared, make no bones about that. You know, Butch and he will have been at Augusta together. you know, the strengths of Rickie's game really are his putting game. His golf swing's gotten an awful lot better. His wedge game's gotten an awful lot better. And I think that, you know, within that preparation and within that desire and that fight, that we have a really, really good champion in Rickie Fowler, and, you know, somebody I very much enjoy watching play golf.
Yeah, for me, I think he will break through and win a major in 2016. I don't see it being the Masters. I just don't think that he's got such a hot run of form coming into the event. And if you look at his track record there are guys in the top 6 that enjoy Augusta National a little bit more than Rickie does, and I think that counts for a lot. One of whom is the world number 4 and 2-time Masters champion Bubba Watson. An enigma, really, because, you know, you look at his track record in the Masters, he's won it twice. His game is absolutely the perfect fit for Augusta National, but on some other occasions he's been totally, you know, absent and just, you know, not contended at all. You know, he is really a guy that really depends how he's feeling that week when he shows up. Yeah. But if you wanted to get a perfect fit, Bubba and Augusta, that's it, isn't it? It
is the perfect fit. You know, we've talked before about the shape of the holes and the way Bubba hits it, the creativity that's required into the greens. You know, I've been trying to study a little bit more of the mentality of Bubba Watson, what he's like. He doesn't like crowds. He doesn't really like being around people an awful lot. He is a bit of an enigma, but within that, you know, almost madness, sometimes there's genius, and we do see a lot of genius in his play.
All right, Bubba, 2 times a Masters champion. A guy who hasn't won one yet, but only needs the Masters to complete the career Grand Slam. Rory McIlroy, your fellow countryman. You know, my feeling is that, you know, he goes into this week with a lot of pressure on his shoulders. You know, he had that last year, you know, as the first chance of his to win a career Grand Slam, you know, having won the Open in 2014. I don't feel that Rory concentrates well enough at Augusta National, or hasn't done so in the past. He's had a few blips, a few really bad 9s. You know, I think on Friday last year he shot 40 on his front 9, for example. You know, we know he can play the course well. He shot 68, 66 on the weekend. But he's got to just block everything out, and he's got to retain that tunnel vision, because, you know, he's been prone to distractions in the past.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that strikes me about Rory, that, you know, the more and more I get to know, you know, the man that I've gotten to know now, is the fact that he does appreciate golf, and he appreciates all of the little obstacles and hurdles you have to get over to be a great champion in golf. And what we see from him now is he does understand that. He understands the concentration side. We've seen him, like a lot of great champions, he's changed his preparation this year. He's not going to play in the par 3 tournament. We saw him play with one of the members of One Direction last year. And he's gotten away from that. He's trying, therefore, I think, to echo your words in trying to give himself much more of a concentrated, focused approach, where he can calmly move into the week, you know, and hopefully get himself into the event.
All right, well, on to the defending champion, Jordan Spieth, someone who had probably the 3rd best year in major championship history last year in 2015, won the Masters by 4, won the US Open in that dramatic finish that we touched on earlier, was only a shot outside the playoff in the Open Championship, and only beaten by Jason Day at the PGA Championship. Quite phenomenal at the age of 21 what Jordan Spieth you know, achieved back then, but we're seeing already how, you know, golf has a way of making reality bite, doesn't it? And it's not been the 2016 so far, if we take away a very impressive performance right at the beginning of the year in Hawaii, that Jordan Spieth would have anticipated. You know, I know you're of the opinion that he's going to struggle this year, because you believe that he was operating under an almost otherworldly putting stroke last year.
Well, I just think that you know, the fear that I have is that, you know, if last year was an extremely good year with the putter, and that's not the way he can perform with the putter all the time, then he cannot do some of the things that we saw him do last year. And it's, you know, it's as simple as that. When you look at the amount of shots that he gained over his counterparts in almost every tournament he won, his putting statistics were completely off the charts. So I just hope that we see a Jordan Spieth who can, you know, maintain a modicum of brilliance in that area of his game, whilst bringing the rest of his game up, because he's a great ambassador for the sport. He does all the right things, and he's by all intents and purposes a great young man.
Okay, well, Jason Day is the world #1. He's the most informed player on the planet right now. He's won 6 times in the last 13 starts, including back-to-back events on the PGA Tour, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, of course, and the Dell Match Play WGC event. A match play and a stroke play, just for good measure, JP. He's had some back issues as well. You know, he had back spasms at the start of that match play tournament, so we can't ignore that. The vertigo is always going to be there in the background as well for Jason, so he does have some health issues. You know, what can we expect from the world number one, the Australian, this week? Someone who's knocked on the door at Augusta in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him play so well at Augusta, and I think we're also seeing a player who is on an upward curve in terms of his golf. I mean, he's arrived on the golf scene. Obviously, he always hit it far enough, but you know, great putter, great chipper, great scorer, and he's tightening all of the elements of his long game up, which is really exciting to see.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think he's become the full package, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, you look at that match against Rory McIlroy in the semi-finals of the Dell match play. Rory actually outscored him by 66 to 67, I believe, and certainly out-hit him from tee to green. But you know, Jason has what maybe Rory doesn't quite have right now, which is that facility to step up to a must-make 14, 15-foot par and roll it in. He does.
We've seen him do that a lot, and that's certainly one of the reasons why you're going to look at him in years to come as somebody who may well become a multiple major champion.
Okay, well, we're going to go straight to our predictions now. That's enough about all these great players. You know, it's such an exciting build-up to this tournament with so many players playing well. But JP, who's your money on?
I think Bubba Watson would be my pick for the week. You know, as I say, great shapes it around the corners, probably great creativity. Won the tournament 2 times, so Bubba for me.
And your second one? Second pick?
I'm going to look at Henrik Stenson, and partly because I think he's a wonderful ambassador for the sport. Does all the right things in the gym, does all the right things on the range. He's worked really, really hard to get himself to be where he is in the game, and it'd be lovely to see him get a Masters championship.
Bubba and Henrik for Justin. My first pick, I think. Well, actually, I did initially pick Bubba. I can't repeat your pick, so I'm going to go with. I mean, there are so many good options. I'm going to go with Adam Scott. I think, you know, the form that he's shown, the confidence now that he has with the short putter, the fact he has a great track record around the Augusta National, a winner in 2013, swinging it beautifully. I think Adam is definitely going to be there or thereabouts as a second option, and I always pick him. I just can't help myself. Phil Mickelson.
It's got to be Phil Mickelson.
I think there could just be one more chapter in Lefty's career. Jack Nicklaus won his final green jacket at the age of 46. Lefty is 45 now. And we know that he's got the talent and the pedigree to summon up a few of those past glories and maybe have just one more week in the sunshine of South Georgia.